scientists know the importance of its discovery, but most of us have actually never experienced Kartchner Caverns.
It's an awe-inspiring trip underground that is a must-see. And on its 20th anniversary as a state park, it's proven to be absolutely Arizona.
We have piles of bat guano in the cave that date to 45,000 years ago.
Wow.
So bats have
they've
been
known about it for at least 45,000 years.
Yes, bats have known about it for a very, very long time.
For most of that 45,000 years, bats were the main inhabitants of that cave. But in November of 1974, Randy Tufts and his U of A roommate Gary Tennant explored a sinkhole in the limestone hills not far from Benson.
And at the end of that crawlway was what we called the blowhole. And air was just blowing out of that hole. We had a little sledgehammer and chisels, and we hammered away to that hole in the limestone until it was large enough for, I was smaller than he was, so I went through first and hammered from the other side and got in.
Gary and Randy had discovered a nearly 2.5 mile long limestone cave they called Xanadu.
We immediately realized that what we found was significant. It was 3/8 of a mile from a road. You could stand on the hill and see the trucks go by. And so we agonized over how to protect it.
Gary and Randy did tell the Kartchner family who owned the land. Together they kept the secret for over a decade while they formulated a plan to protect the cave.
We educated ourselves about conservation through commercialization. That if you can turn it into an economic resource, if you can turn it into something that the public cherishes, that can provide the framework and mechanism for long-term stewardship.
In the mid-'80s, they brought in Arizona State Park officials.
What Randy and I were very good at is never accepting the wrong answer.
It took many years for them to get the right answers. Finally, in 1999, Gary and Randy's idea of making Kartchner Caverns a state park became a reality. Now Kartchner Caverns is celebrating its 20th anniversary. A short tram ride takes you to one of the 2 cave tours. There's the Rotunda Throne Room tour and the Big Room tour that I recently took with Park Ranger Jennifer Woodrum. There are multiple doors to pass through, which helps maintain the cave's constant temperature in the low 70s and the 98 to 99% humidity. Then what you see is breathtaking. Stalactites and stalagmites in various colors, and other formations you've likely never seen before.
This is a formation known as bacon, or a bacon drapery. It's a drapery formation, and the reason it's called bacon is because it's got those stripes of color in it that make it resemble bacon. It's called the strawberry room because of all of the bright reds that you can see. This is also one of the areas in the big room that we will see much more water input if we've gotten a lot of rain. These formations are known as plate shields, and they are formed by water under pressure. So if you can imagine putting your thumb over the end of your garden hose and you picture what that water looks like, it'll fan out under pressure. The same thing is happening with these formations. These are called halictites. Specifically, these are antler halictites because they resemble an elk's or a deer's antlers.
Yeah. Back to those bats. The big room also hosts about 1,500 bats each summer who use Kartchner as a maternity ward. The big room closes from mid-April to mid-October. Also discovered in the cave the remains of an 86,000-year-old Shasta ground sloth. Sadly, Randy Tufts passed away in 2002, leaving Gary Tennant as the lone steward of his Xanadu. As Kartchner Caverns reaches its 20th birthday, he continues his tireless efforts to preserve the caves.
We want the cave, as you saw it, and as people see it today, as Randy and I saw it, is to be the same experience that people have hundreds of years from now.
Continuing cave stewardship and cave education, working with other caves around the world to make sure that we're doing justice to all caves, making sure that they are being respected as places that should be conserved and protected.
Thank you so much for the tour,
welcome.
Jennifer.
Very
Absolutely Arizona's Kartchner Caverns. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a 20th birthday party for Kartchner Caverns coming up this Saturday, so if you want to go celebrate, they'll be happy to do it. And this is actually the original program from 1999, the day they opened the state park.
Wow.
Gary Tennant gave me this.